How's it going, everybody, and welcome into another edition of Foolish Fantasy. I'm your host, Kramer Sansone, and welcome into Week 9 as we prepare for what's to come. I am just baffled of how quickly this season has already gone through because we're already halfway there. Some playoffs start in 5 weeks, some start in 6, some start in 7 if you're crazy like myself. We're almost at the crunch time. The trade deadline's will be fastly approaching. With NFL and also with fantasy football, of course, as it's typically the trade deadline is right around Thanksgiving. And if you need to make some trades, make some moves now. There's nothing stopping you from making a move now to improve your team each and every single week. So feel free, make those fantasy football moves as whatever you see fits to help your team win. That's what you're trying to do. Don't worry about the namesake of players. What's their production value getting me? And make sure you go out there and get the guys that you truly want that's going to help you propel yourself to the top of the fantasy football, I guess, your legacy within your friends, your community, whoever you play fantasy football with. You always want to beat them. You always also want to finesse them at times in trades because you know there's that guy that's on someone's team that's just not the best trade person to trade with because he's always trying to he wants the most possible return on a guy that you don't expect. Like, hey, I shouldn't be trading 3 guys for this one. It's just definitely not worth it. You know, there's that guy in your league. There's also the guy that is going to be extremely fair with your trades. That's the guy you want to talk to. That's the guy. So get some moves done as we are rapidly just approaching. This season is going by insanely quick. If you could do so as beginning of the show, can you please like this video, subscribe, do not forget to turn on notifications. And if you also have any sort of fantasy questions for me, feel free, fire away in the comment section, whether if you are listening to this via Spotify or even on YouTube, because this is also on YouTube as well. As let's get into the Foolish Funsies, starting things off. Lamar Jackson back for Thursday Night Football tonight. Lamar Jackson will be playing against the Miami Dolphins. There was a weird report last week where he was practicing, then he ended up showing up as a full participant on Friday, but it was because he was used as a scout player for the scout team as they were trying to, I guess, make him the mimic of Caleb Williams. So they played the Bears. Clearly, it worked out. They shut down the Bears that week. At least the defense did. Roquan Smith decided to make a statement against his former team. But Lamar Jackson we were hoodwinked by either starting him or on Saturday grabbing Snoop Huntley off of free agency. And if you had to start him, you had to start him. I had to actually start him. I grabbed Snoop Huntley off on Saturday night, inserted him into a lineup, and that was a lineup that it actually helped me win. It's a league where I have 2 quarterbacks in, and Snoop Huntley was able to secure me a victory. It sucks because if you were expecting to start Lamar Jackson the entire time that week, thinking he's going to come back from that hamstring injury, well, you were gypped. You lost a week of Lamar Jackson because of the injury report gone, I guess, haywire, gone just them not checking it fully, or the Harbaugh wanted to just mess with not us fantasy owners of Lamar Jackson, or just mess with the Bears in general. I'm assuming that's the case. I'm assuming that's just what they were trying to do, is just, ease the way from Lamar Jackson. But no, Lamar Jackson is expected to play tonight against the Dolphins. That's a favorable matchup. That defense is very depleted. There's nothing good about this defense. I know it stepped up against a Kirk Cousins Falcons, but you also got to think that was Kirk Cousins. You're telling me no, you are not getting. You're not. You act like you're going to stop Lamar Jackson if you're the Dolphins. That's not the case. With Lamar Jackson, if his hamstring is fully 100%, it will be a great showing, a performance of what Lamar Jackson is capable of doing. So he's going to be showcasing all of his talents tonight. Can't wait to see what is going on with him. Now let's see what else we have. Tyler Shough to start versus the Rams. Interesting. We saw the Spencer Rattler treatment. He get benched mid-game. Well, I think it was before halftime, actually. I watched a lot of Shough, and a lot of Shough there was an interception he did throw, but I thought he was very consistent and accurate, and I'm actually A-okay with this start. Spencer Rattler, I think he was thinking too much. He was staying in the pocket for too long at times as well, taking the sack, but at times you have to do that. That's A-okay. But there's I feel this offense seemed a lot better when Shough was in there. I get it. Maybe the Buccaneers defense kind of starts, I guess, laying off, even though they truly didn't. It was all Buccaneers football the entire time on that defense, was just absolutely stopping what the Saints were doing. But I felt confident of him throwing it to Juwan Johnson, throwing it to Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave. Maybe at some point Alvin Kamara gets worked into this game against the Rams. We didn't really see much Alvin Kamara. He also showed up limp on a certain play in the game. But Tyler Shough, I'm A-okay with starting Rashid Shaheed if I need to this week, because I actually have faith in Shough getting him the ball. I don't have faith in starting Shough by any means, but if you have to start a Saints player, Rashid Shaheed's a very good, valuable option for the shortness of the routes they're going to be running with them. Even Juwan Johnson might be a must-add to get up off of waivers. I know I mentioned that you might want to cut bait with Juwan Johnson, but I mean, because I had what Spencer Rattler was doing with him the few weeks prior. Well, the back-to-back weeks of great Juwan Johnson play, also great showing with Shough throwing it to him. I think I'm okay with getting Juwan Johnson starting him. I think I am. It's a big move. Remember, they drafted him in the first round. Was it first round or second round this past year's draft? I just knew it was a head scratcher because he was one of the most, I think it was the first round. It was just the most off the wall. What are the Saints doing here at this position? Tyler Shough will get his first start in a New Orleans Saints uniform. Brock Bowers, he's back. Brock Bowers is back. All you Brock Bowers owners, you need to rejoice and be thankful because it is going to happen. We finally have the emergence, maybe the full healthiness we're going to see from him since walking into week one, not playing during week one, because that's when he suffered that PCL injury against the New England Patriots, but he was a full participant in practice on Wednesday. Brock Bowers will be suiting up this Sunday. Cannot wait to see what he can do and help this, maybe get this team up from the basement. I know this offense has been insanely bad. Insanely bad. It was great to see them on a bye week. Maybe they come out of this bye week against Jacksonville and actually do something with their offense. Ashton Genty's didn't do great against the Chiefs. Heck, nobody against the Chiefs even showed out. Geno Smith might have had the best performance out of everybody during the Chiefs, but man, they needed that bye quickly because that was the last time we've seen the Raiders play football. It was ugly and nothing was truly happening for them to go their way. But now Brock Bowers is back. Maybe the offense this makes a jump start. Maybe this is what they needed. This is what they've been slacking this entire time. This could be an interesting play for Brock Bowers. He's a must start this week. Make sure you go ahead and just add him in onto your lineup. Or if you want to make a trade, who knows? Maybe he comes back and he's not like the most fully healthiness, or they don't use him properly like they should. That's a good possibility as well. But I have full confidence that the Raiders are force-feeding Brock Bowers the ball because of all this missed time. We need some excitement around Raider Nation, and that's what they are clamoring for right now is Brock Bowers. Puka Nacua, he was limited practice today, but is expected to play this Sunday. And this is a guy that we all drafted very highly, maybe in the top 10. No, you definitely drafted him in the top 10 because he's the most valuable wide receiver option in all of fantasy football. Even for Matthew Stafford absolutely loves throwing it to Puka Nacua because he does it constantly. It's weird that he's limited, but he's expected to play. I'm assuming they're just going to monitor this injury this entire time and just make sure he's a game time ready to go each and every single week. I do trust him starting. I do 100% trust him starting, and for you to start him as well. But it's good to see him back in lineups because this is a big week. Week 9. I know we just got passed by Mageddon, but week 9. This is setting things up for the playoffs. You need to get your best availability out of every single people that you've drafted already or acquired, or just making sure your team is all lined up properly. So that's where we're at right now. Puka Nacua limited yesterday. Curious to see what his report is coming out today of practice, but he's going to probably be limited all week this week, so just expect that. But he's going to play. Just be prepared. He will play. Terry McLaurin, this is unfortunate. He is going to be out versus the Seahawks with that quad injury. He re-aggravated it during that diving catch where he landed on his quad to stay in bounds against the Kansas City Chiefs, and it re-aggravated it. And it was this guy can make insane catches. He's one of the wide receiver group, and this is a big blow because after you probably were insanely happy him coming back and starting and being able to be a full go until he re-aggravated during the game. This is unfortunate because I know you've spent a top 20, maybe a top 30 draft pick on Terry McLaurin, and you just can't use him now. And he's just been obsolete, non-existent from your fantasy rosters majority of this season. But when he plays, he does wonderful things. It sucks. It's unfortunate. And lastly, around the foolish funsies, not so much funsy as all. We've now know that Cam Scadaboo had suffered an open fracture and a ruptured ligament to his ankle. It's so the bone did protrude through the skin. That's what I'm trying to say here. And that's why he needed that immediate emergency surgery. He had to stay overnight in Philadelphia. But they were looking at to see if there's any infections coming through. But I guess Cam Scadaboo's back in the facility, cruising around on a little scooter type thing. So at least he's in high spirits. They are expecting him to make a full recovery and be back by week 1 of next season. So that's promising. That's awesome. Modern technology of how to fix an ankle that has been absolutely destroyed in the fashion of what happened to Cam Scadaboo. Man, that was disgusting. It was ugly. I never want to see anything like that ever again. And I didn't expect anything, but it's also a lot of knee and ankle injuries that have been popping up left and right throughout the entirety of the NFL, and it just sucks. You don't want to see that. And Cam Scadaboo will be back, expected to be back week 1 of the 2026 season. Let's get into ascending and descending players. As I know, I used to give out the breakdown of, all right, who you should start this week, who you shouldn't start this week. Change things up a little bit to see how things afloat and gel. Because there's some guys that you may not care about. Like, I don't have this guy on my team. Like, I don't even worry about starting him or even sitting him. But here's some guys that I think are some ascending players right now that you either need to go out there and get or possibly start. And right now, the first one, the ascending player on the starting this list is Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter's uptick in share on targets and also playing on the offensive side has just drastically increased. He's coming off of a bye, playing against a team like the Las Vegas Raiders. The Las Vegas Raiders secondary is bad. It's horrendous, and you already know that Travis Hunter is 10 times better than any other defender on that side that's playing on the offensive side as well. And he's just going to probably carve up the entire defense the entire time, the secondary of the Raiders. And Trevor Lawrence has been looking his way. He's not looking Brian Thomas Jr.'s way. He's looking at Travis Hunter, he's looking at his way the entire time, and that's a big positive upside of why I think he's an ascending player right now for fantasy teams. You might have drafted him in the top 50s, maybe 60s or 70s. You've been wanting to start him, and it's been like, all right, I don't know which week to actually do it. He finally got his first touchdown 2 weeks ago. They was on a bye this past week, and that week that you probably started him whenever they were in London, that was like, yes, finally the coming out moment. That's what the last minute recognition that I remember seeing Travis Hunter was that game, and I think it carries over, and it carries over heavily during this Las Vegas Raiders game whenever they're coming into Jacksonville to try to play them. Travis Hunter is going to do crazy numbers. I wouldn't say crazy numbers. He'll probably get a touchdown, probably get over 50 to 60 yards, maybe 8 receptions. That I think that I feel confident in saying that this week, because if you are a defense, you're going to clearly shadow and cover Brian Thomas Jr. because of just history and what it states, because he's still getting his target share, but the looks are now going towards Travis Hunter. So he's ascending right now. Another person that's ascending because of what the schedule looks like for them, Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is going to start becoming a touchdown monster. He's going to be against a very favorable schedule, especially against teams that lack against doing the run defense. And they've already gone through the gauntlet of the first half of what their schedule looks like. And that only means that, all right, let's hand the ball off to Derrick Henry, especially if the hamstring injury to Lamar Jackson, one, does get re-aggravated because it's a hamstring that always flares up if you already get one. That's just the most common injury to get. Once you injure it once, it's very, very easily to re-injure it again. And maybe that happens. Maybe it doesn't. But still, maybe Lamar Jackson doesn't run as much like he should, even though he probably will, in order to get to win the games. They're still going to hand the ball off a handful of times to, not even more, a handful, abundance of times to Derrick Henry. So you should be very confident. It's not like he hasn't been playing a bad fantasy season this year. It's one of his lower fantasy production levels that we've seen in the last 2. So I think we're going to see a nice boost to Derrick Henry just starting this upcoming week. Another one that's ascending when he gets back from his bye, Bucky Irving. Bucky Irving should be back behind getting the rock whenever they're back from their bye week this week. and they have an easily favorable schedule as well, kind of like the same exact thing with Derrick Henry. Once Bucky Irving's back, they're probably still going to do the split backfield with Rashard White. They're probably going to work that, but still, this is Bucky's backfield, and he's going to kill it when he's back here. Not this week, but the following. And lastly, I think Justin Jefferson is a very likable, easy ascending player. He was maybe a first overall draft pick, a second, third, fourth. He's a top 5 fantasy wide receiver, or even a fantasy draft pick that you would need to have. He's not playing like a number 1 or number 2 or number 3 or number 4 or 5 when it comes to fantasy football standards. And it's kind of showing. I get it. Carson Wentz is throwing it to him. J.J. McCarthy might be back this week. It seems like they are thinking it's going to be J.J. McCarthy throwing him the football. Maybe that benefits Justin Jefferson a lot. What also benefits Justin Jefferson a lot is what they're going to be playing up against. A lot of teams that secondary and corners, they give up a lot of fantasy points too. They get 2 wide receivers. That favors that. So the schedule absolutely loves Justin Jefferson in this one. So if you already know that Justin Jefferson's going to get some love, maybe, possibly, Jordan Addison's going to get that love, the exact same love again, because J.J. McCarthy's either going to be throwing them around, or maybe I'm actually, you know what? I'm very curious to see what the Minnesota Vikings do with their offense once J.J. McCarthy is back. We see Aaron Jones is already healthy again, so the target share, the split backfield stuff with Jordan Mason, him might throw some things up from haywire. Who J.J. McCarthy's going to fall in love with, either Justin Jefferson or Jordan Addison or even T.J. Hawkinson. There's just so many options for the Minnesota Vikings. I'm curious to see it all played out now with everybody healthy coming to one, kind of like we were going to see week 1. Justin Jefferson basically was one of the better wide receivers in week 1. We're going to probably see that once again because he is the target machine for his team, because, he's getting paid like he is, and he's produces like he is at all times. He's also just had a last handful of weeks. Carson Wentz, he's had a baby. Carson Wentz again. It's just Carson Wentz. Is Carson Wentz hindering Justin Jefferson? Yeah, but we're not going to see Carson Wentz anymore anytime soon, because after he got placed on the IR with that shoulder injury, which, by the way, that Thursday night game last week, I was in pain watching Carson Wentz hit the ground. It sucked. I felt bad for Carson Wentz. I did. All right, so we go from the ascending players to the descending players. Starting things off is we got a couple of Titans on this list, especially for people who put some surplus into these guys and picks. The first one, Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard has won me championships. He's been one of my most reliable guys that I love to draft, make sure he's on my team no matter what, any type of year, just because he helped me win a championship 2 seasons ago. I always love Tony Pollard. But I think we're seeing the passing of the torch moment happen right now in Tennessee, because I don't think Tennessee even knows exactly what they're doing for the future. And if you're either going to run with your older back or one of your newer backs and Tajay Spears, I think Tony Pollard is just it's not good. They're going to be playing from behind majority of the time. The pass catching back is Tajay Spears. I know there's a handful of times you're going to see Tony Pollard do catch some passes from the backfield, but I think we're going to see the Titans continue to play from behind, which is going to negate touches from Tony Pollard to give to Tajay Spears. I just think he has been continuing to descend this entire season from whenever he first got his first jump in week 1. It just hasn't looked like the Tony Pollard we've seen even last year or the year prior. It's just not there anymore. And I think it's time to be okay. Maybe I try to move away from Tony Pollard. Maybe he has to ride my bench. Maybe I try to trade him. This is the time to do it. It's week 9, people. Get after it. Another one, Calvin Ridley. Heck, I don't even think the Tennessee Titans even know if they're even going to be trading Calvin Ridley, kind of like how you should either be trading him or dropping him to your waiver wire, because there's so many better wide receivers when it comes to fantasy football. Calvin Ridley's just not in. He showed up on the injury report. He was hurt in the last game. He's probably still questionable for this upcoming week anyways. It's and I don't even know if he's even going to get enough love or shine from it, because we've seen a lot of Cameron DK or Shamarion or Camryon, or I don't even know how to pronounce his, but I just know his last name is DK. I figured that out. And he's got a lot of targets this last couple of games because of the absence of Calvin Ridley. So it's time. Be done with Calvin Ridley. It's over. Heck, I don't even know if people are going to be able to trade for him. I know he has like a crazy contract, so he's probably going to be stuck on the Tennessee Titans, and the Titans are just going to be eating that contract while he sits on the bench, because you kind of have to do that. You have to. If he's not giving you sort of production, might as well send him down. Jerry Jeudy, another descending player. What has happened? Like the Browns' offense has gone from running the football to throwing to tight ends, and that is it. There's no wide receiver one in this group. Harold Fanning Jr. is the best option for Dillon Gabriel. I don't know if it's even the quarterback's decision. They went up against a good defense against the Patriots this past week, and the Patriots absolutely stepped on their throats. We saw what Dillon Gabriel can't do, and that's throw at the deep ball. I don't know if the Quashon Judkins, that injury blows for them. I don't know. Like it's just bad. It's just not a good look right now for anybody. You were hoping a wide receiver one would step up for this team, and it's not. And you traded for Jerry Jeudy, 2 or 3 seasons ago? I think it was 2 seasons ago during the deadline, thinking that was your big spark, your big boost that you needed from Denver. And that just, like, we've seen here in Kansas City how badly Jerry Jeudy is, and what the Broncos were trying to use him for just never surpassed, or the expectation was never truly there or successful. That's why they cut bait, send him to Cleveland. Maybe Cleveland needs to cut bait, send him elsewhere. But you should, if you're starting him right now, you need to cut bait, send him to either the bench or to the waiver wire, or to try to trade him, try to fleece somebody. There's no value whatsoever in Jerry Jeudy or having Jerry Jeudy on your fantasy team. So, I mean, if your friend's doesn't listen to this podcast, this is your sign. Hey, yo, what do you want for Jerry Jeudy? Another guy's descending and had an incredible, 3 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago was an incredible game against the Bears. Washington's Bill Krosky-Merritt. Where has he been? And the Commanders' schedule does not favor him whatsoever, by the way. You're going to see a lot of passing, and McNichols, the last 2 games, has been the best receiving back on the Commanders. And McNichols shined against Kansas City Chiefs just past Monday. Krosky-Merritt, his production of 2.3 fantasy points this past week saved me in 3 or 4 leagues, because I was going up against Krosky-Merritt. And I won those weeks because he was the last guy that the other team had on their team, and he had to at least get 5 to 10. I think it was at least, if I would have lost every single game this week because of Krosky-Merritt, he needed to score over 10 points. Just little, I think it was 11. And he didn't get it because he got 2.3. It saved me, and it's going to continue to keep going that way in production if you do start him. I don't trust Krosky-Merritt at all. I don't trust anybody in that backfield with Washington, if I'm being honest. The only person I do trust is Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel and Jaden Daniels when he's healthy. Because even if Jaden Daniels is healthy and they're still playing from behind, Krosky-Merritt's not the option of him standing out there. He does not catch passes. He does not. And it's unfortunate, because he has all the talent in the world just to get the ball in his hands, see what he can do. But even when he gets the ball in his hands right now, he's getting stopped. But then also, the Chiefs' defense, the run defense, is incredible. It's one of the best run defenses in the league. They always shut down elite-level running backs. I'm not saying that Krosky-Merritt's elite. Not yet, at least. I need to see more of him. But the Chiefs' defense shut him down in Kansas City on Monday Night Football. All right, lastly, on the descending players, I know I brought this up as a topic in the last episode of Foolish Fantasy, but Jordan Mason, it's a dud. It's a dud. I think it's over. I think the 3-week run of him just being great, putting up 16, 17 fantasy points for your team, it's over. He is a touchdown or bust type of candidate. He's only going to get in there on the ground and pound type. He's not a pass catcher. Aaron Jones proved that once again. They're going to probably target him more on the passing catches last Thursday. So it's just not. It's not the bat and eye. Keep him on your bench. If you went out there and you got him or brought him up off waivers, or you traded him or you acquired him, put him on your bench still, because you never know, especially to see how this Minnesota Vikings offense runs and hums, especially with J.J. McCarthy. I know I kind of teased it up a little bit when I talked about Justin Jefferson. It's this whole, be patient. He's on the descending list, but be patient with Jordan Mason, because he could, you never know. He could break off a 3-touchdown performance, kind of like how Jonathan Taylor does each and every other week. So, he's descending at the moment. I hope I can put him back on the ascending next time we do ascending versus descending. So that will do it for that little type of funsy right there. Now let's get to our waiver wire watcher before we close the show. There are 5 guys I do like that should still be open in majority of leagues, especially the first one. Shamarian DK, for the Tennessee Titans. He got 16.4 PPR points last week. I think he had like 16.7 the week prior, including a touchdown. But he had this past week had 7 receptions on 8 targets, so he was getting targeted by Cam Ward for 93 yards. He seemed more explosive and he seemed more reliable the last 2 weeks, and I've seen him go to Alec Ayomanor the entire time. And I don't know, I've been boasting about Alec Ayomanor, but DK, I think, passed Ayomanor. I think we've seen that now. And so he's only owned in, I believe, 10.2% of fantasy leagues. So if you are in a deep 20-team league, if you're like a 16 and 18, this is a guy that I would absolutely grab. Heck, even if you're on a fringe 12 to 14, maybe this is a guy that might impress you. Because, I mean, if he's getting 16 points per week like he did the last 2, and that does consistency, like they need a wide receiver 1 there. If Calvin Ridley's not it, because that's what they wanted to be, it's DK. DK is the wide receiver 1 in this group. Another one, running back, Bam Knight. He's going to be the bell cow, as we saw the release of the running back. Is it Michael Wilson? No, it's Michael Carter. Michael Carter Jr. were released just before, right after I finished recording the podcast last week. Not last week, earlier on Monday. That's when, after I got done recording, boom, the release happened. But Bam Knight, 43% owned in leagues. They're playing against the Dallas Cowboys. This is if he's on the bench or on the waiver, you grab him and start him this week because they're playing the Cowboys, who give up so many points to running backs. It is unreal. So, yeah, grab Bam Knight and start him. A guy that impressed me on Sunday Night Football, who's only owned in 22% of leagues at the moment, is Christian Watson. He hauled in all 4 of his targets with 85 yards, and one of the plays that he had was a deep shot from Jordan Love that it took him down to, like, I think the 10, maybe the 5-yard line, and he got pumped up and he was amped. And I haven't seen this type of Christian Watson in a while, and I'm curious to see if this is going to continue to go, because Christian Watson's supposed to be the wide receiver 1 there in Green Bay. He's supposed to be there the last 3 or 4 years, but injuries just kept him on the sideline the entire time. And only on 22% of leagues, Jordan Love needs a wide receiver 1. Our Jordan Love's been having so much love with Tucker Kraft, as he's been incredible tight end. But with Christian Watson possibly being number 1, he's open in a lot of leagues. And I would highly suggest you go out there and get Christian Watson. A running back that's on the Eagles, you might have drafted him this year, but had to drop him because of him being traded to the Eagles, Tank Bigsby. Who knows if this is a lingering issue with Saquon Barkley? Maybe he's hurt. Maybe he's not. Maybe it's just, I don't know, him just getting hurt mid-game. And then Tank Bigsby had 9 rushes for over 100 yards. So, I don't know. Maybe he's a grab and stash type of candidate, but only owned in 26% of leagues. It's very intriguing. And lastly, Tajay Spears. I keep bringing his name up because I think the passing of the torch moment has happened for Tony Pollard, as we were talking about on the descending. Tajay Spears only owned in 40.7% of leagues, and he is the pass catching down back. He might be a fringe flex this week. I like him a lot. Maybe he's the running back 2 you have, but Tajay Spears, only owned in 40.7% of the leagues, is very, very clamoring. Like I would like him. I would like to have him on my teams. I would. That'll do it for this edition of the Foolish Fantasy Week 9. I hope that you are all continuing to going forward, pushing, plowing, keeping the train steady, because there's the goal. The goal is to win your fantasy league. I don't care if you're 3-5. I don't care if you're 2-6. You can turn it around this week. You truly can. Make the moves you desperately need. Go out there and make a trade. Make a trade this week. This is the week to make a trade, especially for how the ascending and descending was. There's very favorable schedules. Take a look at them. The schedules are your friends. And also, there's a kicker out there that you might want to go grab. And maybe there's not no maybe. He has the best schedule possible to get points. And he's open in a lot of leagues, a lot. And the Patriots keep on scoring. And that's that Romo kid. Or is it Romo? Yeah, it's Romo. So that's what I'm going to end it with. Go if you need a kicker in your leagues. I love kickers in leagues. I do. That's just football. It wouldn't be football without a kicker on your team. Go get Romo from the Patriots. He might be the guy. He might be the answer. That'll do it here for this edition. Have a good one.